Welcome back to a brand new episode of Undisputed Nerds. We are back. That's right, this is the fun, light-hearted, absurd comic book movies, TV shows, and everything else podcast where we like to talk about all the wacky stuff that's going on. I am one of your hosts, Zane, Captain Tai Cho. As always, I am joined by my fantastic co-host, the Gentlemanly Gamer.
Hello, everyone in Radioland. It is us. Zane, I have prepared something of a gift for you. If you wouldn't mind pressing that button we discussed beforehand.
Here we go.
Oh, doesn't it? Doesn't it feel good to be reunited, Zane? Doesn't it feel good to be reunited? We're back. We're back, baby. Back with the A show. I would like to take this time to thank both Rinsler and Katie for filling in my absence. Fantastic shows. If you have not listened to them yet, they did a cracking review of Ms. Marvel Episode 1 and Jurassic World Dominion. Jurassic World Dominion, Zane, not Jurassic Park Dominion, as you said multiple times. I did listen back. Yes, it's fine. It's all right. It's all the same, isn't it? As soon as you say Jurassic Park, everyone knows what it is. Forget that.
Well, here's the thing. I would always say Jurassic World Domination.
I know you would. Where's that coming from? I'm gonna make no comment on that and move very swiftly on. How was your holiday?
Yeah, it was good. Thanks. A lot of fun. A lot of cocktails. You know, a lot of sunshine.
I do know. I had the same problem on mine, so it was lovely to listen to us. It's like, oh yes, by the way, how was your holiday? My holiday was marvelous. Yes, I was down in California drinking wine in the Napa Valley. Yes, it was marvelous. That is legitimately what I was doing, by the way, for a week and a half. Just getting drunk at vineyards. It was fantastic. Thank you. Shout out to my American family over there. Thank you very much. I had a cracking time. I think with the heat and with the wine, I got so dehydrated. I felt terrible on the way home, but apart from that, it was great.
Yeah, it's been great just having a little R&R. Did you catch up on any sort of reading or watching or anything?
I get this right. I spent like 20 quid on the Immortal Hulk Omnibus, Volume 2 and Volume 3. And I read none of it. I did watch some films on the plane on the way over, which was awesome. I watched the new Scream, like the latest one, which was really good. I was very surprised how good it was. Like, considering it's like Scream 5, I thought it would be awful, but it was great. And I also the pick of the flight for me was Last Night in Soho, which is it's the Edgar Wright kind of horror movie. It is amazing, Zane. Yeah, amazing. Like, you need to see it. You're like, when we laughed at Matt Smith because he was funny bad in Morbius. Like, he's scary good in Last Night in Soho. So and it's got a great twist in it as well, which I kind of saw coming, but it still hit home where I was like, oh, that's really great. So I would highly recommend that.
It's a decent film. Yeah, I saw it a couple of months ago now, actually.
Oh, you've seen it? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
What about your entertainment wise? Did you read? Did you enjoy?
Yeah, in-flight movies I always try to use as an opportunity to watch something that I wouldn't normally watch at home, sort of thing. So, For example, I watched The Green Knight, which was like 4 hours long. Well, it's exaggeration. It was probably more like 3, but with Dev Patel.
Yes, I know which one it is. I saw trailers for it. It looked interesting.
Yeah, interesting, but horrendously long. Like, it is a slog.
When you say 4 hours long, are you sure you haven't got it confused with Zack Snyder's Justice League?
I wish.
Interesting. Oh, that's good. I tell you what I don't like, Zane, is like when you come back, right? You come back from dry heat,
yes,
and then you come back to heat that is everywhere in the UK. Like, it sticks to you like you wouldn't believe. It is absolutely disgusting in the UK. And for those American listeners that we have right now, we don't have aircon over here. We don't have air conditioning. So anywhere you go to, the heat just follows you. And it is like a horrible shell of clinginess that you just can't get rid of. And I'm hating it. I'm hating it as a overweight white man. It's horrific just how I don't bear well with heat.
Yeah, it's as you say, coming from somewhere as tropical as like Barbados, which has a lovely heat, and then coming here, it's just like icky. Yeah, it's not fun. Anyways, I guess
what are we doing today?
Fair to say that we're going to talk about some Obi-Wan today.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Kenobi.
Yeah. I'm gonna say this right now. They know who they are, but when I watched Kenobi with a friend of mine, and when we were watching it, they said to me the other night, they go to me, "Oh man, this show's really good. I seriously love Ian McGregor." I know they listen to this podcast, so I'm going to say it right now. You know who you are, and I'm never letting you live it down, ever. ever. But yes, Ian McGregor was amazing in Kenobi.
I've seen so many sort of variations of people pronouncing his first name now. Like, not only Ewan, but I've heard Ewan McGregor.
He's not Welsh. I get really surprised. He is one of the most famous actors in the entire world, and you would think by now people know how to say his name.
It's not like he's just breaking through either.
No, I know. He's been in Hollywood for like 30
years.
Yeah, 20 years. Okay, 20 years is a bit more realistic. Yeah, there you go. Looks fantastic though, doesn't he? Oh, sexy boy. Right. So what else are we doing, Zane, apart from Obi-Wan Kenobi?
Besides Obi-Wan, we've got some recurring segments. So not only do we have tips and bits, which you can also check out on the Undisputed Nerds Strikes Again YouTube channel. I nearly mentioned a different podcast there.
Well, I mean, you won't. It's not again. You will check it out on the Undisputed Nerds Strikes Again channel. But yes, yeah, I know what you're going to say. Come on, hit me with it. It's been a while.
But we have got some Rage Against the Cage happening this week. It's been a long time. Let's hear what's been going on with old Nicky Boy this week.
Where is it?
Oh, I need to...
Where is it? You're in control.
I'm in control. Here we go. What's this one?
You turn me on, brump. You turn me on, brump. You're not too tall, you're not too short, you're not too round, brump. You're like a cat, the Cat in the Hat.
Hey! He sung us a little return song. That's very nice of it, isn't it, Zane? Oh, Nicolas Cage. Nice. You love
Big fan of the podcast.
Yeah, he really is. He's a friend of the show. For those of you who are not enlightened and are new to our channel, every week, pretty much every week, we do a quick look at the weird, wacky life of Nicolas Cage, because he's one of those Hollywood-style icons who's absolutely bizarre, but he hasn't done anything bad, so we still love him. And so what I do is I'll read out the headline and then get Zane's reaction, and then we'll talk about the main article. So, you ready for this one, Zane? I've been saving this one for quite a while.
Yeah. Let's.
We need something impactful to come back on, and you're going to love this one. Right.
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
Dog the Bounty Hunter bailed him out of jail in 2011.
What's the story behind this?
Dwayne Dog the Bounty Hunter Chapman posted $11,000 bond to get his friend Nicolas Cage out of jail after he was arrested for public drunkenness, domestic violence, and disturbing the peace in New Orleans. The Big Easy. Cage allegedly got into a heated fight with his wife in a tattoo parlor. They took it to the street, ex-wife. They took it to the street where he proceeded to punch a bunch of cars and yelled at police to arrest him. Then they did. And his wife didn't press charges or anything like that. And this is a direct quote from Dog the Bounty Hunter. I am a truly dedicated fan of Mr. Cage and will not be granting any interviews about my client as I wish to protect his privacy. I performed my duties as a bail bondsman and not in connection with our show. This is what I do for a living. There are two sides of my job. I release my clients after they've been arrested and pick them up if they don't show up in court. I do not believe the latter will be the case for Mr. Cage.
Wow.
So, ladies and gentlemen, always remember that it doesn't matter how famous you get, how wild, how wacky, how weird. If you break the law, Dog the Bounty Hunter will find you.
It's the most like 2011 style story I've ever heard in my life.
This is like, why was this not on his show? It should have been, shouldn't it?
It's how would they even have met?
Just going through the streets of New Orleans, Nicolas Cage punching cars.
Yeah, because Dog the Bounty Hunter was like a big like TV show back in the day.
Oh yeah. They parodied him on South Park. That's how big he was.
I just find it wild that he would be close enough to bail Nick Cage out. It's not like, I don't know, another sort of famous actor of the early 2000s, Brad Pitt or something. You know what I mean? Like,
I know. Or what's the guy? I would much more expect it to be
John Travolta.
No, that's good. But no, I'm thinking, what's the guy's name who he was in Avatar, and then he's in Terminator Salvation, and then he just disappeared. Sam Worthington. I'd much more expect it to be someone like him.
Riding high on the release of Terminator Salvation.
The bad boy needs to be brought down to earth by Dog the Bounty Hunter. That would be great. But there you go. Anyway, so that's this week's. We normally call it "What's All the Rage" with Nicolas Cage. Zane gets the title wrong all the time, so But yes, that's this week's "What's All the Rage" with Nicolas Cage, guys.
Oh, fantastic!
So, I've still got some more in the pipe, so we'll come back to it next week. Zane, did you know that I love to surf?
No, I didn't.
I know, it's amazing. You'd never believe it looking at me, but I am an avid surfer. Not of the sea, though. Oh, no. I am a surfer of the World Wide Web, my friend. And let me tell you something. When I go surfing, I definitely need some protection. Not the usual kind of wetsuit, though. I need some VPN. Do you know what VPN means, Zane?
I don't. What's a VPN?
Well, it would be a virtual private network, and let me tell you, we here at Undisputed Nerds are being sponsored this week, and a big thank you to the episode sponsor, Surfshark VPN. You can get Surfshark VPN 83% off and 3 months free, Zane, if you go to surfshark.deals/Undisputed Nerds and enter in the promo code Undisputed Nerds. Surfshark VPN lets you trick your device into thinking it's in another country, which opens up a whole world of content libraries, Zane. So think about it this way. If you're in the UK, you can watch US Netflix, which has a far bigger selection of movies. You can get all of your Batfleck content that I know you love, Zane. I know you're looking for. If you're outside of the UK as well, you can watch amazing apps like BBC iPlayer. And if you're in the US, you can finally get access back to the old WWE Network with its far superior functionality. We've been using, me and Zane have been using Surfshark here at Undisputed Nerds for a while. It is our official VPN, and it doesn't just let us gain access to all the comic book movies, but it also secures our networks by encrypting internet traffic, keeping our location and download history private. Thankfully, so that people can't see me purchasing wetsuits. My favorite feature on the Surfshark, it knows when my phone leaves a trusted connection, like my home or work internet, and it immediately turns on to prevent interference. It's like having, I don't know, Batfleck's Justice League for your phone, Zane.
I know exactly what you mean.
And I know you've got a lot of Batfleck on your phone right now. So sign up to Surfshark today by using our link in the video description below, surfshark.deals/Undisputed Nerds, where you'll get, again, 83% off and your first 3 months free if you use the code Undisputed Nerds. We really appreciate it if you just at least check them out, as they're a great company and we love working with them. Support Undisputed Nerds and support your internet privacy with Surfshark. I guess we're going to move on to our main event, aren't we, Zany boy?
Yeah, let's take a look back at a fantastic series called Obi-Wan Kenobi.
You said fantastic series. I was going to say to you, should we do the thing that you and Katie did last week with Jurassic World and do a countdown into whether we think it's undisputed or disputed? But never mind. I know you think it was fantastic.
I mean, is it still undisputed though? Even though I think it's fantastic.
Wow, way to get yourself out of it.
Yeah, let's break this down into segments. So I think it's fair to say if we give our verdict, then talk about characters, then visual, and then action. I think
visual and action. Do we want to talk about story?
We could talk about the story.
Okay, all right. Okay, do you want me to go first?
Yeah, go first. Would you say it's undisputed or disputed? As you
Undisputed.
are undisputed.
Absolutely undisputed. Yeah, this was great. Like, it was really good. I really enjoyed this series. I felt like it wasn't as good as The Mandalorian. It did have some lull episodes where it felt a little bit of a drag. I will say that was its downside, is that some of it felt like a little bit of a drag. We'll talk about it in characters as well, but I felt like the Reva character was not great. It wasn't super well developed, although it did kind of, come back round and had a nice little closed arc. But I loved it. Like, I thought this was fantastic. The portrayal of Obi-Wan by Ewan McGregor is one of my I'm saying Ewan, I'm not saying Ian.
I can see it. I can see you fighting it.
It's one of my favorites. He's incredible in this. Again, he's always so good. Hayden Christensen is the standout in this, coming back as Vader, for me personally. But yeah, anyway, I apologize. I took over there. What is your thoughts on the show?
I was quite surprised with the reaction, as you say, to the lull. More specifically, episode 4. I feel like there was a lot of heat from that episode. As a whole, I really enjoyed it. There's certain episodes where I had some gripe, but that was more from a production action sort of point of view more than anything. But as a whole, I enjoyed it. Ewan McGregor was as charming as ever as Obi-Wan. Incredible. I was really surprised. I don't know why, but I was really surprised to hear James Earl Jones back as Vader.
Oh, really?
I was really surprised.
It's got to be Vader.
I mean, yeah, it makes sense in so many ways, but I wasn't expecting it, and it was a real pleasant surprise.
Hayden Christensen doesn't really have the booming gravitas of James Earl Jones. Master.
Yeah. But in the same way, like, I know he did like 2 episodes maybe of Rebels, and maybe the Clone Wars, the animated series. But it still surprises me that a movie star would do, what could be considered TV.
I mean, Ewan McGregor's in this.
Yeah, I know. But he's also producing this as well. So
yeah, I guess so. Yeah. I think he is. I did say as I was watching the show, James Earl Jones is synonymous with Vader. We'll talk about this more at the end, but they need to use him whilst they still can, I think, is the short answer. I wouldn't be surprised if they did this as well to get a lot more voice sampling for him, just in case the inevitable does happen. It's a morbid thought to think of, but they probably want to use Vader a lot more, I would guess, especially after this. So we'll talk about that kind of towards the end. So character-wise, let's kind of go through, I guess, the main players who were in this series.
Uncle Owen.
Jimmy Smits as Bail Organa. So, well, let's start with the kid first. So let's start with Leia. What did you think of the child actor playing Leia Organa? I found her slightly annoying, if I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But what were your thoughts on it, Zane?
Yeah, it's terrible as it sounds. Like, I think she was more of a plot device. Because, and again, I know there was a lot of criticisms that what is it with these Star Wars Disney Plus shows and having a child that needs protecting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think she was fine. Like, again, I wasn't kind of blown away, but it's great.
I think this. I will give credit to the team to say this is a different thing to do because, and it was the only card they had to play. Because they knew they had to get Obi-Wan off Tatooine, because you can't just have an entire series where he's just wandering the desert meeting people. It would be so dull. And it's like, you had to get something like, what is the only other thing apart from Luke that will get him off planet? Well, it's Leia, isn't it? That's the only other thing. There's nothing else that's going to make him leave. So when it's a Skywalker that is, in trouble, then yeah, he's going to have to go. I thought the girl was really good, like, for what she was, kind of thing. She just grated on me a little bit after a time. I think there was maybe a bit too much Leia in it, but I really enjoyed their relationship together. Like it was nice to see an Obi-Wan Kenobi and Princess Leia situation, even if it was a different kind of it, like a father-child scenario.
Yeah.
It was funny because I did say, like, towards the end of the episode, this does kind of leave a massive plot hole for episode 4, because in episode 4 she is supposed to have never met him, and like she sends out an encoded message saying, "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope. You fought with my father in the Clone Wars, blah blah blah." But then they kind of save it at the end where Obi-Wan goes, "If you ever need me, you must pretend you don't know me." So it's like, okay, cool, all right, that works. Yeah, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
I'll give you that. All right, they fixed it. But no, I thought she was all right for what she was. Again, a little bit annoying, but
one thing I really liked, which is probably more a testament to the writing, but the way that it was kind of, there was things in her lines that remind you of Padme.
Yes.
Which I really liked. That's kind of touched, that sprinkled in sort of magic in there.
There was so much nostalgia in it. I mean, like when we'll get onto it in a bit, but like the final fight between Obi-Wan and Vader, they say exactly the same things to each other right before they fight in Revenge of the Sith. Like it's identical word for word, and you were just kind of like, oh, that's some good, that's some good callbacks there. Oh yeah, oh, I like that. I'd rather have this fight, by the way, than that fight in Revenge of the Sith. I'm just saying it now. Anyway. So yeah, moving on. Reva. Let's go with Reva, the third sister of the Inquisitors. Weird old windy, curvy, worthy story arc she had, wasn't it?
Yeah. I honestly didn't see the twist coming.
Oh really?
Again, a nice little surprise for myself. But yeah,
wait,
I know
which
a lot.
One? Oh yeah, spoilers by the way, guys, for the show, in case we haven't cleared it. It's a review, so spoilers.
Yeah, the reveal that she was once a youngling at the Jedi Temple.
Okay. I will be honest with you, I saw that coming, because the first scene in the entire show is the younglings in the Jedi Temple.
Yeah.
And then it goes to pretty much like Inquisitor stuff, and I was just like, oh right, so she's one of the ones who escaped then, or didn't escape, or whatever. But no, the twist that I kind of found surprising was that she wanted to kill him. That was the twist that I found surprising, was she wasn't serving him, she wanted to murder him. So for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, Reva turns out to be a youngling that was spared from Order 66 because reasons, and or escaped, I guess. I don't know how it. We never
she
really
survived,
get an explanation.
Didn't she?
Yeah. Yeah, she plays dead. Yes, that's right. She plays dead. I remember now. And then she seeks out revenge to kill Anakin. and that's how she knows that he's Vader, because I guess she puts 2 and 2 together that the guy who murdered everyone in the Jedi Temple is the same guy who's now wearing a suit, calling himself Darth Vader. Cool.
Surprise.
Hey, happy days.
I guess
Younglings.
Like a lot of people, it surprised me that they murdered off the Grand Inquisitor in the first episode. But then I was kind of like, the genie has to go back in the bottle at some point, like, surely. And then as more and more episodes came out, I was like, well, it's too
he's not
far. It's too far along. And then he came back. I was like,
Well, for those of us who have watched Rebels, we know how he dies, because he dies in Rebels. And the only thing I was disappointed by that is that they got a fantastic actor in to play the Grand Inquisitor. Rupert Friend is amazing, really good, and he was really good as the Grand Inquisitor as well.
Yeah.
So I wanted to see more of him, and I was disappointed that he kind of went out and then came back in. So he disappeared in the second episode and then came back in the last episode. That was the only disappointing thing I had, with him. But yeah, we all knew he wasn't dead, didn't we? Let's be honest.
Oh, yeah. There's no way Dave Filoni would let that
Revenge is
fly.
a great motivator for keeping one alive.
So
great.
good.
He is so good. It was brilliant. Yeah, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. So yeah, Reva's arc, I mean, she eventually realizes that she's becoming the thing that she hates the most, and kind of turns away from being super evil. I think she's probably going to fall into like Grey Jedi category, where she won't be dark. She'll be kind of, just one of these
purple
Force sensitives. Grey. They're called Grey Jedis. If you're not light and you're not dark, you're a Grey Jedi. But yeah, I imagine that will probably be what it is, I guess. I don't know whether we'll see her again. I really don't. Do you think we'll see her in other things?
I heard there was rumors that she would get a spin-off, but I don't know where you would go with that unless she goes.
Yeah,
unless she goes
is like done.
Yeah, unless she goes looking for what's his name? Is it Quinn?
Cal.
Oh,
Quinlan Voss.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be good. I could actually. Yeah, I'm game for that. I want to see Quinlan come into this, man.
Because there was loads of hints of his existence in this.
They use his name. like McGregor. Kenobi actually says his name. He says Quinlan was here. Yeah. So for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, in the Clone Wars series, there is a Jedi called Quinlan Voss, who is one of the coolest looking Jedis you will ever see. In the Clone Wars, he flirts with the dark side, and even turns to the dark side at one point, but then redeems himself and comes back to the light. He's a savior of Jedi. He's responsible for ensuring that a lot of Jedi survive Order 66. So when I've kept saying, I don't know where all these Jedi are cropping up from Order 66, it's bloody Quinlan Voss, isn't it, mate? So yeah, it looks like he's now part of live action canon as well. I would not be surprised if we see him in Ahsoka. That would be awesome if we see him in Ahsoka, because they know each other. So yeah, I was super happy when he said Quinlan was here. I was like, yes, he was. So yeah, it was good times. Yeah, I don't know where they go with Reva. I can't see her story continuing. I think she'll probably pop up as a bit character. But yeah, possibly, there you go, Quinlan connection, maybe. Who knows?
Mace Windu 2.0.
Moving on. So, which do you want to do next, Vader or Obi-Wan?
Dealer's choice.
Let's talk about Obi-Wan next.
Okay.
So the main complaint that a lot of people have said, and I want to clear this up right now, is the first fight that Vader and Obi-Wan have is kind of weak. So when he meets him for the first time in 10 years, their fight is very kind of sluggish and not, he doesn't know what to do, kind of thing. Right?
Yeah.
It really annoyed me that people were complaining about that, because what they've been obviously trying to establish. You have to think about this in terms of linking through. Revenge of the Sith is 20 years pretty much before A New Hope, give or take. I think there's maybe a little bit more time than that, but roughly around 20 years before A New Hope. Like, he hasn't used the Force. He hasn't used any of his muscle memory for 10 years. He hasn't fought anyone. He hasn't done anything. He's been basically living in a cave for 10 years. I challenge anyone who is a mixed martial artist or any kind of fighter to have a competitive championship match and then go 10 years without fighting and have the same caliber of match. It's not going to happen. And it's the same. They're establishing that, like, when it goes a long time, they're sluggish. They don't practice. They don't do things. So, of course, it's going to be a weaker fight. Of course, it's going to look raw rubbish because they're just, haymaker in it all over the place. Which is why towards the end of the series, when he's had more practice, he's tapping back into all that muscle memory, and they can actually have quite a decent fight by the end of it. It's the same kind of thing that happens in A New Hope. It happens in this third episode of this series. That's why Obi-Wan is not as consistently good a fighter, because he's just not tapping into the Force. He's not using it. Like, it's gone dead to him.
Yeah, it's what I really liked about Kenobi's journey is the idea of, some sort of level of post-traumatic disorder from the events of Revenge of the Sith. Like, he's dealing with the nightmare of everything that happens. Like, it's not just one of those things, well, the Jedi temple's fallen and that's it. Well, I go live in the cave. There is a dramatic, there is a devastation to that, which is really great to kind of explore in those first couple of episodes.
Indirectly, he feels responsible for all of this.
Yeah, he was a Jedi Master on the Council. Like, he
was Darth Vader's master.
Yeah. There is that moment as well when Reva says, "Where were you?" I mean, a part of me was like, he was fighting Grievous. Like...
I was going to say, he was stopping the Separatist army, Reva, you ungrateful woman. How dare you?
But I really like that moment where he's just kind of like, yes, where was I? But anyway, back to what I was originally saying.
Because he's gone senile. Yes, where was I?
I was fighting a robot man with a blaster.
I didn't even use my saber. Cody?
I rode a giant iguana. It's. I really like that, and I really like the...
How did Grievous's wheel have legs? I don't understand.
Looked like something from Akira. He was dealing with all the
Star
trauma.
Wars visions.
I'm not in it.
Anyway, sorry, go on.
Yeah.
He was dealing with post-traumatic stress.
And I guess they kind of flirted with the idea that he closed himself off from the Force.
Yes, I think so.
Because he buried his saber. He wasn't very acting in a Jedi way when someone
stopped being a Jedi.
Came for help, and he was like, "No, you go on your own." It's very much he closed any possible way.
There's a lot of debate as to why he did that as well, because I was reading on some forums that apparently because a lot of people are arguing that the Inquisitors are not a good addition to the lore because they punch quite a lot of plot holes into the new films. Why don't we see the Inquisitors in 4, 5, and 6? Why aren't they used as tools? Question is if they're still all alive, or if they all die by the time A New Hope runs around. But there's a line that Rupert Grand Inquisitor says during the first episode where I'm going to paraphrase a little bit, but he basically says, "We don't find Jedi; they find themselves. They can't help themselves." And it because Jedi, the argument is that the Inquisitors can sense the Force users across the galaxy. And so when because the Force is basically dead at this point in time, because there's no other Force users other than dark side users, whenever a Jedi taps into the Force, the dark side can sense it. They can the idea is they hunt that, they go for it. That's why they know. It happens in Fallen Order, where Cal uses the Force to save one of his friends in this junkyard, and then a day later the Inquisitors turn up to find out what the hell's been going on there. So a lot of people were saying, well, that's not great, because, how can they find them over that distance? Is it the Emperor telling them where they are, or, and also they don't like the idea that, and I kind of agree with them on this. I do agree with them on this one, in fact, is that Vader and the Inquisitors are so out in the open so often, and they get seen so often, and these guys are supposed to be like myths, like the Jedi and the Sith are supposed to be like myths, where it's like Vader is not like a public figure. Vader is a boogeyman that the Emperor sends to do his bidding. He is not something that is like commanding ships and doing battles and stuff like that. Vader is sent when it is something that needs to be done, either Jedi related or very swiftly. He is, Anakin is a master strategist and pilot, as well as being, one of the most horrible people in the universe. So I agree with them. I didn't like that the Inquisitors and, Darth Vader was so obvious to people, where it's just like, that's Darth Vader. I didn't like that.
Back to what you mentioned about that fight, the first fight I felt was, again, I completely agree with you. He's not going to be the sharpest fighter. He's, lost his form and all that. It just felt like a little bit cheap in the sort of production part, because it's kind of like, oh, look, there's these two cables. One of them's going to spark an explosion, and here it is, like out of some sort of like MacGyver TV show. And then there's that weird the fire bit as well is kind of like, it's a poetic justice of sorts, but I'm not sure I'm a fan of it.
I know what you mean. It was, I think the idea was to mirror A New Hope. It was a combination fight between A New Hope and Revenge of the Sith, only flipped, where Obi-Wan loses.
Yeah.
Because that fight is very, when you look back on it, it's rubbish. Although there is a go online, guys, go on YouTube. I can't remember what the name of it is. I'm so sorry to the user who created this, but somebody redid the Obi-Wan Darth Vader fight using modern technology.
Yes.
It is amazing, absolutely amazing. And it's like a really good full-on fight between, Alec Guinness, Obi-Wan, and original Vader. It's really good. Where it's just like, why didn't you use that, George Lucas, to make those fights better? Why did you use the CGI in such a horrible way? Obi-Wan, going back to the character of Obi-Wan, I think his arc is complete now in terms of kind of like where he's at. I don't think they should focus again on his character. I think it is done. I think he's ready to be Alec Guinness now. I think if you wanted to use him again, I would say that either use him as a bit part, like you said, in a Quinn and Voss show, or use him in, before, during the Clone Wars or something like that, like a live action Clone Wars scenario. I don't think he should get another full focus series on him. I'll talk to you in a bit after we talk about the next character, about where I think Obi-Wan would fit in. But I don't think he should get another full action series. I think his journey in being influential in Leia's upbringing is great. Like I did like that a lot. I like the idea that like she learned a lot of like her, selflessness from him. That's really good. And also that he teaches her about her parents to a certain extent was really great. So that she doesn't have that identity baggage because she met someone who knew them, I really liked that. I like that he's the reason why he's not still obsessed with, you know, Anakin and that kind of thing, and what happened is that he's made peace with it by the end of this show. Like, he's made peace with what happened to Anakin. He's not trying to save him anymore because he doesn't think he can be saved. Turns out he was wrong, but like, by the same token, like, he has done all he can do, and is just ready to accept kind of the will of the Force kind of thing to play out as it was, which is why he says what he says about Luke, where it's like, I don't need to protect him anymore. You know, when the time comes, it will play out as it's supposed to. And yeah, it was really good. It was just his arc was really nice, and it was a lovely little just dot in it to say, this is the link, this is what happens, this is it, done. And he can finally, you know, spoilers, guys, spoilers, he can finally see Qui-Gon.
That was the whole thing I was like waiting for in this season, because there's moments, like, especially he was on the ship on his own, and he's like, Master, I don't know if you can hear me, but I must try and save him. And I was like, oh, Qui-Gon, just
this will end with either his death or mine.
I was like, Qui-Gon, please. And then a part of me was like, there's no way they'll get Liam Neeson. Like, maybe there'll be a voice, but not. There's no way he'll.
Oh, they got him though,
didn't
they?
On.
Oh, they got him. Oh boy, did they get him. Oh boy. I was here all along, Anakin. You just didn't want to listen. Not Anakin, Obi-Wan. I was here all along, Obi-Wan. You just didn't want to listen. And, like, he's got a lot to answer for, by the way. I just picture them having a big old rant in a cave for like half an hour. I'm like, why did you make him betrayed him? He's ruined the Jedi. It's like, I didn't know. He had so many midichlorians. Well, they're doing a live-action series, aren't they, with Liam Neeson?
No.
Like, yeah, they're doing a Qui-Gon series.
Qui-Gon series?
Yeah, they're doing a Qui-Gon series. The rumor was it was supposed to be before. I don't know how they're going to do it. They're going to have to de-age him, but they were going to do a series set before episode 1, where it explores like him getting Obi-Wan as an apprentice and Count Dooku and that kind of stuff.
Qui-Gon series.
Yeah, that was the. I'm sure I saw that confirmed. I'm sure I got it. Hang on, let me double check that. I don't think I made that up.
The crazy thing as well, like, I think Liam Neeson loves coming back to these sort of characters. Like, I can imagine him being excited to come back as Qui-Gon, to have the whole hair and beard, and he'd be like, well, yeah, sign me up. Because I don't know if you heard, but a couple of years ago, when they started doing the Ra's al Ghul stuff in Arrow, he wanted to come back as Ra's al Ghul, but he couldn't because of conflicts in his calendar and stuff.
Oh Jesus, that's amazing! I would have loved to have seen him back as Ra's al Ghul. That would have been so cool. Yeah. So this was as of giantfreakingrobot.com. Liam Neeson returning as Qui-Gon Jinn for new Star Wars series. He recently said in an interview that he had no intention of doing so. Well, it's been confirmed after his surprise cameo in Obi-Wan Kenobi that Neeson will again play Qui-Gon Jinn, regardless of his earlier words, and it will be on Disney+. As reported by Murphy's Multiverse and others, Liam Neeson is returning to voice Qui-Gon for the upcoming animated series Tales of the Jedi. Along with Liam Neeson voicing an adult version of Qui-Gon Jinn, there'll be a younger version.
Oh.
Yoda tells blah, 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 spoilers for that, blah, blah. Beyond animated roles and a possible cameo in Obi-Wan Kenobi. Probably shouldn't bet too much. Okay. I apologize. That's me sending out false news, guys. Fake news. My apologies. He is confirmed to return for this Tales of the Jedi show that they've got coming up. However, it will be his voice. It's not him. They're doing an animated version of him. It doesn't look likely that he's going to come back for a live action show. That is my bad. I'm sorry. I misread the report. They were speculating that his live action appearance will be in Obi-Wan Kenobi, which is confirmed. It was,
which happens.
So,
yeah.
Okay, yeah, that makes more sense. Because, yeah, I thought they were going to de-age him and do, like, a prequel to Episode 1. I'd still quite like to see that, to be fair. I wouldn't mind seeing a young Qui-Gon series. Yeah, it's a young Qui-Gon series. But, yeah, anyway. So, yeah, I loved Obi-Wan Kenobi. The character was great. So, moving on to the last kind of main character in this, then. Vader.
Lord Vader.
Lord Vader? Hello, Lord Vader. Hello,
Lord Vader.
Hayden Christensen. This was, with the exception of Empire Strikes Back, this is probably my favorite portrayal of Darth Vader that I have seen on screen.
Wow,
it was really good, really good. They played around with him so much in this show, and it was just so well done. And it, like, the character is like, I mean, effectively, what he is a big giant baby. He just obsesses and he wants to win all the time, and he can't let things go. And when he doesn't get his way, he whinges about it. And like, it was just perfect. It was just so well done. And like, it's like having a 4-year-old with the most insane power in the world, you know, to be able to do stuff. I'm very paraphrasing there, by the way, guys. I realize we're going to get letters from people just being like, "Don't call Vader a 4-year-old."
He's the most powerful.
He's not, though, is he? He's not, though. I think so. Sorry, Zane. I should kind of get your interpretation on this. What did you think of Vader in this? I'm sorry.
So Vader, yeah, I thought was very cool. You know, the end of episode 1 where you see him in the Vector tank opening his eyes. I was like,
Bacta.
That is a Bacta or Vactor? Bacta. I've heard old Bob say it too many times. I was in the Vector tank.
I was in the old Vector tank all night. The Vector. No, it's Bacta.
So yeah, I thought it was cool. The halfway through this season series, I was like, they're gonna have to show Hayden at some point. Like, it felt like there was a lot of times where he was just in the mask, and I'm like, well, is that kind of because
could be anyone?
Like Mannequin Skywalker, yeah. But I guess the sort of fan favorite moment is the flashback when they have their training montage.
Yeah, I feel bad that like they did. I was surprised they didn't fully de-age him during that, because they kept him as an old man but pretending to be a Padawan. And like, it's like, I get it. I get why people were complaining about that, but it's suspension of disbelief. People just you know, use your imagination. You know, plus there's probably a certain part of him where he doesn't budget. But also, he doesn't probably remember himself as a young man. You know, he hasn't been a young man for a long time. So, you know, he's probably just seeing himself now as he would be back then, I guess. You know, maybe that's the excuse for it. But again, it was another great scene. I will say, what kind of horrific training did the Jedi do where they use live lightsabers? And, like, you know, there's one point where Obi-Wan tries to properly behead him, you know, in that training sequence. Yeah!
There was it made me like laugh because the episode prior to that, a lot of people were expecting like some sort of Clone War flashback, like them with the armor and all that sort of jazz. And then it wasn't until the following episode we got a flashback, but in a different sort of way.
Yeah, I think it was it's an important flashback to learn, isn't it? It's like, you know, it's Anakin Skywalker has not really changed since he became Darth Vader. He has a way of winning, and it's pursuit and, you know, destroy at every possible chance he gets. There was a really cool. They do some really cool lineage linking, which I don't know if you noticed in that fight. So the way the fight kind of, there's a part right before Obi-Wan wins that fight by taking his lightsaber. There's a part where Anakin like basically like bats his saber away, and then like beats him down until Obi-Wan's down on the floor, like holding his lightsaber. So they've taken it and they lined it up. It's exactly the same way, exactly the same as Luke fighting Darth Vader at the end of Return of the Jedi, when he like eventually like cuts off his hand. Like, it's exactly the same. Somebody took it frame by frame and lined it up, and they've done it. It is intentional. It's identical. I thought it was super cool. Like another nice link into like the kids and the lineage of it. It was a really cool little moment.
There's quite a lot of like some great sort of references in the fight sequences themselves, because I saw an interview where Ewan was explaining that Hayden Christensen created this move, and you'll instantly recognize it, but he does this, like, he twirls his lightsaber behind him to deflect. He almost turns his back to his opponent, but as he turns, he twirls his lightsaber behind him at the same time, so it does nice. Like this chopper effect. You see it in that flashback, but what's really great is you actually see Obi-Wan use the same move in their final fight.
Yeah, when he kills around. Really
yeah.
So yeah, I will say they did the one thing that Disney Plus really has done, or sorry, Disney in general, the one thing they have done in a post George Lucas selling Star Wars situation is they really have done a great job of establishing how powerful Darth Vader actually is. You know, like the bits that they use him in. So they've used him in Rogue One, and I think we can all agree that the standout moment of Rogue One is the lightsaber corridor fight, where he just annihilates those people. Then there is, for those of you, I'm going to spoil, so spoilers, guys, for Fallen Order. If you haven't played it, you really should, because it is good. Well, anyway, I'm getting tangented. At the end of Fallen Order, Vader appears and shows just how powerful he is. And I didn't enjoy Fallen Order, the gameplay wise, but I enjoyed the story, and the ending of that made up for the entire game when Vader appears. It is incredible. And in this one, oh boy, howdy, do we see how strong Darth Vader is. Like, when he pulls the starship out of the sky and just rips it apart, I was like, that is so awesome. So awesome. And then just the fact that he's so powerful as like a fighter now, in terms of kind of he's machine. So like when he's in the first fight that him and Obi-Wan have, he's just beating him down, like absolutely beating him down just through sheer like strength. Basically, it's not really will of force or anything. It's just because he's so like strong now that he's basically a robot. Yeah, they've done a great job establishing just how strong Darth Vader actually is now, as a Dark Lord of the Sith.
Just to add to that, the fight with Reva, where and you know, there's times where she tries to use the saber and he stops it using the Force.
With the Force,
and even when she does the helicopter, you know, rotation, he starts slowing it down, sort of thing, and it's just kind of like, man, this is, no matter how you look at this is the end boss.
Well, it's like they've established in like lore and then the canon of Star Wars, if he hadn't have been burned, Darth Vader would have been the most powerful Sith Lord ever, and like would have far, like his power would basically be double the amount of the Emperor. Like he would have absolutely just there wouldn't have been anyone that could have stopped him. Like he would literally have been the strongest there is. It's only because he got so horrifically burnt that's what nullified his power. So when you think about it like that as well, where it's like he's just doing all this stuff and he's working at like maybe 40% of what his actual power is, then it becomes like, oh my god, like that would have been crazy. There is a slight kind of thing, and they did kind of show it, I guess, at the end, but the final fight between Vader and Obi-Wan, if the end of Revenge of the Sith was recreated, with Vader in the suit versus the Obi-Wan of that time, Obi-Wan would have absolutely wiped the floor with him, because like all of his mobility and everything like that is just completely limited within that suit. And you kind of see it in that final fight. Like there's a lot of the fight where he basically fights Obi-Wan one-handed, because he doesn't need to like, he's got so much power in the suit that he doesn't need to stop him, because he's basically, you know, like I said, he's a robot. And then he starts going into two-handed when Obi-Wan starts to kind of draw more of the Force. And then eventually Obi-Wan just absolutely annihilates him. Like he doesn't even stand a chance at the end of it. Obi-Wan just like beats the hell out of him. And like I loved that. I thought it was great. Like I was just like, yes, that is exactly what would happen. Vader thinks he's hot, you know, hot S, and then he comes up against a repowered Kenobi, and Kenobi will just wipe the floor with him. And the only reason he wins in A New Hope is because Kenobi needs to die so that Luke can become what he should be. That is the whole point of it. That's the whole point of the thing, is that Kenobi is teaching Luke. And yeah, it's, you know, it was great. I really enjoyed this series, and I don't think they'll make another Kenobi series. It was what I was going to talk about. So I mentioned it earlier on. I really believe, and I really hope that they do this. Now that Christensen has confirmed he wants to come back, now that McGregor has confirmed he wants to come back, I think they'll do a Vader series.
Interesting.
And I how good would that be, Zane? That's where I think they could do it. That's where I think they could take it, because there's so many Vader stories. You know, there's Vader stories with Boba Fett. There's Vader stories with, you know, where he's hunting people, like specific Jedi that he's hunting, you know, like recruiting Inquisitors. And like in that, you can still use Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi, because you can do flashbacks. And it would work. Like, I think it would be great. I think it would be absolutely great.
Yeah, no, I see where you're coming from, because one of the biggest things I've heard recently is how good the Darth Vader comics is really good at the moment.
Yes.
So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they draw a lot of inspiration for that. How would you feel if they did the Star Killer story?
I don't think they can, and I will tell you why I don't. Unless the only way around it is if they make him a Inquisitor.
Okay, yeah.
The whole point of Starkiller was that the Emperor. The idea was the Emperor and Darth Vader are supposed to be the two Sith Masters or Sith Lords, but then the Emperor does not look at Vader in the same light since he became mechanized. So Emperor uses him more as a Sith assassin. Really, that's what he is. And then the idea was that Vader was training up somebody to kill the Emperor. Yeah. So that's why Starkiller was like a OP Jedi who was supposed to be able. He's
OP was. OP. Yeah, I know. I meant like OP is, to put it lightly.
Yeah. And so it can't work within this canon now, because you know, Vader's got his weapons, which are the Inquisitors. Yeah. So unless you say that he's doing this in secret, plus like Starkiller, if you look at the canon of that game, Starkiller's responsible for the creation of the Rebel Alliance, which is already running, by the way, in this point in the series. So, and that's 10 years before A New Hope. So no, I don't want them to do Starkiller. The only way they could do him is if they brought him in as, you know, as an Inquisitor. But, you know, plus the guy who plays Starkiller, he's already Darth Maul now. So, nah.
Would you want to see a live action Darth Maul versus Kenobi?
Not against Kenobi, no.
No.
I'd like to see it. I'd like to see a. I don't know. Maul's difficult, man. I would like to see Darth Maul explored more, but I don't know what you could do with him right now. Like, they did a really good job of him in the Clone Wars. They really did.
And Rebels, yeah.
And Rebels, yeah. So, like, that's why I don't want to see, because a fight between Obi-Wan and Maul would be over in 2 seconds. So no, I don't want to see it, because it already happened, and Maul died very quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I'd like to see more Maul stuff. I really would. there's so much stuff that they could do. Like, there's so many new things that they could look at, and so many stories that they haven't yet told that are outside of the current. They could look at Darth Plagueis. They haven't done the Emperor's Master. They haven't done any of that. The Knights of the Old Republic is being remade for the PS5. They could look at some stories around the Old Republic era, because there's plenty of those. The story of Revan and Malak. There's loads of stuff around that. Enough with this time period. Do a Vader series. I'm fine with the Vader series, and then that's it. And then just leave it alone for a while and let it rest.
The only other thing I was thinking of, the other thing I was thinking of was with Ahsoka, would she see the Force ghost of Kenobi? Sort of thing.
I think it's much more likely that we see a Force ghost of Anakin popping up now.
Yeah,
I really do. In the live action version, you mean?
Yeah.
In fact, in fact, I would say that's pretty much going to happen. I can 100% see that. Yeah, you might have struck gold with that one, Zany boy. We're calling it here now on Undisputed Nerds. Force Ghost of Anakin will turn up in live action Ahsoka.
Yeah,
definitely.
Because the only other thing I was thinking of is like they're booking for flashbacks, maybe similar to what they did with Kenobi, but. Yeah, I'm thinking, would they use Kenobi? Or... Yeah.
Oh, you mean Kenobi itself? Yeah, sorry. I don't think they'd use Kenobi. Kenobi and Ahsoka weren't that close. Anakin is Ahsoka's master. That's the whole. That they have that bond. That's why there's such a deep connection with them in Rebels and stuff, and that's why she has a deep connection with Luke, because obviously it's his son. So, I don't see Obi-Wan factoring into the Ahsoka series at all. I do see Hayden Christensen factoring in quite a lot. I think he will. I didn't even put two and two together about that until you just said it. But yeah, I can see him showing up a lot in that. Yeah. That fight between her and Vader in the Sith Temple and Rebels as well is still one of my favorite things ever. It's just so good.
It's cool.
So good. Ahsoka's great.
Really
right,
great.
Cool. We did it, Zane.
Oh, one last thing I was going to mention is I really like the lightsabers in this. I really like how they're so much brighter and they have like a hue and stuff. Did you feel the same? Oh yeah, massively.
The only time I kind of noticed it was in the last fight when like Obi-Wan kicks his ass and then opens up his helmet, and it's like you see the blue when he's talking about Anakin, and then it turns to red when he goes, "I killed him." And yeah, that, which is, again, it was so awesome. That I need to go back and rewatch that fight. I watched it last night. I need to go back and watch it again, because it's just there's so much good stuff in that. Like, I did think it was a bit cheesy when Obi-Wan did the old come to Jesus moment where he's just flinging all the rocks, like, he's like, goes like that. And then like all these rocks are just firing at him. That bit I thought was a bit cheesy, but it's funny. I said to my friend, as soon as I saw that fight, I was like, I bet you £5 right now that helmet is getting chopped off. And they were like, "What do you mean? What, cut his head off?" And I'm like, "Nope, I guarantee they're going to show Christensen's face. I guarantee it." And then, like, I said it, and like a minute later, his helmet gets chopped, and he's just like, "Have you seen this?" And I'm like, "No, I just know what's going to happen. I know it's going to do like that. They're going to do it like that. Of course they are." So yeah, it's good. It was good.
It's fun. I enjoyed it.
It was a great series. It was a great series. If you haven't seen it, guys, and you're Star Wars fans, then go and see it. You probably should not have listened to a review of it first, but go and see it if you haven't already. But I guess, yeah, tell us what you thought of Obi-Wan Kenobi, guys. Get in touch. Zany baby, how can they get in touch with us?
You can leave a comment in the section down below. You can also email us, which is nerdsundisputed@gmail.com. Oh,
it is nerdsundisputed@gmail.com. Okay, cool, good. I think that was one of the email addresses I said whilst you were away.
I think you created a new one nearly every week.
Listen, it was only 2 weeks, so that's only 2, so that's good. I've done well.
You've done well.
How can they get in touch with you?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Zane_Taicho. Of course, the links will be down below. GG, how about yourself? Can they find you on the gram?
You can get me on the gram. I can't remember the last time I posted something on there, though. I'm really bad about it. Normally, I just repost a bunch of stuff, but I need to up my gram game. You can also find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/gentlemanthegamer. I'm up in my Twitch game. I'm going back. I'm going to start doing Tuesdays and Thursdays, guys, and you will find me. I'm playing Doom Eternal. Always pulled me in, Zane. It's really good. Yeah, it's really, really good. I love it. It's just so gloriously violent and brilliant. So loving that. So yeah, come say hello, guys. Tuesdays and Thursdays. You will find me 8:30-ish GMT because I'm normally late. What about Undisputed Anime? You want to give them a shout out whilst you're here?
Yeah, why not? There's another podcast that I'm a part of called Undisputed Anime, where we talk about anime, manga, and some top recommendations. We'll be covering some anime of the summer to check out. So
anime, you say? What are we doing next week? Were we going to talk about Umbrella Academy next week? Was that what we said we were going to do?
I think we are. Yeah.
Let's do an Umbrella Academy episode and talk about that. I've only watched the first episode so far, but it was. Find out next week.
Super. So yeah, make sure to check in next week. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, all that jazz. And if you're listening to this on your favorite podcast platform, leave a star rating. And we'll hopefully check you out next week.
I'm not going to check anyone out, but thanks very much, guys, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.